and also like giving assignments. So I hope your assignment is to practice the skills that we have learned in the workshops. So so that there is no learning until there's been a change in cognition and a change in in behavior. So you can't say you've learned something if you haven't change your way of thinking about it. So there has to be a change in cognition, and there has to be a change in behavior. That's how you know you've learned something. So the reason why a lot of workshops and trainings don't work or don't result in behavior change is because people come, listen, they take notes, and then you're gone, right? So, but that doesn't do anything. All you have is just knowledge. The way to actually change our lives in 2022 is to begin to implement things that we are learning here, so that we are the yes women for 2020 and men for 2022, the yes people for 2022. So today, let's take a look at where we left off yesterday. We're still on self-awareness, a little bit more practical things on how do you do that? How do you become self-aware? We've talked about some of the benefits already. Oops, hold on. I like to put, because we're recording, I need to do something. I need to, have I shared my screen, guys? No, I haven't shared my screen. All right. It shall be shared in a minute. All right, now we are talking. Yesterday, we also talked about the leadership gap. So the self-awareness gap in leadership, we talked about that. And so let's move forward today and see what we can do. Talked about the surface. All right, so let's talk about how do we build self-awareness. Some of things might feel like, oh wow, these are just, some of these things are things that you probably already do, but you're not doing it intentionally. So let's see some of the suggestions we're going to gather around today. So number one, walking, especially in quiet places, in nature. It can be very helpful in building self-awareness. A place where you're by yourself, the mind tends to wander along with our feet. When you're walking, you're thinking of all kinds of stuff. So if you add what we've talked about when we talked about mindfulness, remember that, then you can also add that during your walk, and you can begin to examine some things and drive it to the edge. People are afraid to drive thoughts to the edge, and I'm going to explain what that means. Let me explain that without PowerPoint. When you drive thoughts to the edge, it means you get to a place where you get to the end of that thought. So, for example, if you have a fear that you're going to die, you have a fear of death, for example, a fear of death. People, when that thought comes to their head, Christians will say, I bind that in the name of Jesus. Some people will say, oh, that's a bad thought, it should go away. Well, you're not driving the thought to the edge. What driving the thought to the edge means, drive it to where, just follow the thought to where it's leading you. So, for example, I usually, when I get on, I'll give you an example for me. When I get on planes, I usually say prayer, in the name of Jesus, this flight is safe. Sometimes I will even may lay my hands on the flight before the plane before I sit down. One particular day, I forgot to pray. And in my head, the thought just came. The thought said, oh, what if you die? And, usually I'll be like, oh, well, in the name of Jesus, I reject that. That's not going to happen. So I said, okay, bring it on. Let's think about death. Let's think about death for a minute. What is the worst that could happen? The reason people don't drive thoughts to the edge is because they're afraid of what they're going to find. So I said, okay, bring it on. Let's see where this thought is going to lead me. So what if I die? So what if I die? Have I lived a good life? Have I lived a good life? Have I done well by my people that have been around me? Have I raised my kids well? Have I loved my people around me well? Have I been a good wife? Have I been all of these thoughts? I just said, okay, yes, 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 yes. Some things I'm not perfect. Some things I've done, but I can relatively say I've done what I could do, right? So I was like, all right, but I'm not going to die. But if I do, it's no longer an issue. Do you see what I'm saying? It's no longer an issue. So there's some thoughts you have to walking and self-awareness allows you to drive things to the edge. And when you get to the edge, don't be afraid you're not going to fall. It just gives you more options in life. It gives you more options. So let's say I drove that thoughts of death to the edge, and I say, oh my God, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I haven't done this. Guess what then I get to do? I get to get off that plane and then decide to say, okay, this is how I'm going to arrange my life because I haven't done what I want to do on this earth. I haven't finished my work. I haven't done the things I want to do on earth. So it is important that we don't get afraid. Don't get afraid of self-examination. So when you're walking, one of the things is just focus your attention on maybe one or two things that you want to drive to the edge that day about yourself, and then take the leap. Take the leap. You will not fall. Don't worry. You will not. Actually, what's going to happen is the edge is going to expand to contain you. Number two, practicing mindfulness can increase awareness. We've talked so much about mindfulness that I don't mind repeating again. Mindfulness is just it's not like, you just sit down and you're holding your hands, and that's not it. It's part of mindfulness, but mindfulness just means be mindful of now. Be mindful of what you're doing. Be intentional about where you are right now. That observe your thoughts, observe your beliefs, understand what you really stand for. Notice the things that trigger your emotions when the rise and the fall. Focus on what you're doing at the moment. So if you're talking to your children, actually talk to them. Don't stop in your mind. Don't be thinking of all the 10,000 things you're going to do. Pay attention. If you're talking to your spouse, pay attention, be intentional. If you're talking to your employees, pay attention. If you're talking to your friend, those are the ways we're mindful and practice it constantly. It would help you with self-awareness. Now, becoming a good listener also can increase your awareness. Becoming a good listener. Other people are constantly feeding back to us. We're just not listening. People are constantly giving us feedback. Those friends that tell you, come on, you're always stressing, you're always worrying, you're always doing this, and you think they don't know what they're talking about. They're feeding back to you. Getting out of yourself and focusing on another person is a good antidote to self-awareness. All right. So by being open to someone, by being open, you can learn to listen objectively. Even you can be lovingly listening to what the person is saying. Also, you're able to understand their needs, their wants. Listening skills is so important in self-awareness. So how many people are going to yes listening? Like, I'm going to listen better in 2022. I'm going to listen better in 2022. Put it in the chat box. Let's hear it. I'm going to listen better. I say yes to listening. I say yes to listening in 2022 because this is a skill you have to practice. It doesn't just happen. Most people are having 21,000 thoughts in their minds. They're not actually listening. Yes to listening in 2022. Who is with me? Yes. Yeah, very good, very good. I see those yeses. Come on, we should have some more yeses. Yes. Very good, very good, very good. We are saying yes to listening in 2022. Listening means that you're paying attention. You're mindful of the person in front of you. You are receiving input. all right, without trying to think, okay, how am I going to defend myself? How am I going? No, 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 no. Listen objectively, listen lovingly, listen, listen, listen. It would help you with being self-aware. Now, you can also, thank you for all those yes, yes, yes. You're saying yes to yourself, yes to listening. Hey, hey, hey. Woo-hoo. All right, so number 4 is becoming more self-aware by um, being enlightened. Okay, it's becoming it improves your it's almost like you a light switch goes off. There's so much we don't know about our inner thoughts. I told you about the unconscious mind yesterday. There's so much we don't still know about our inner thoughts. We don't know so much about our inner processes. 90% of your mind is subconscious and unconscious. 90%. So you think, okay, I have access to 10%. Most people only really utilize 5%. So you can imagine living life that is untouched, that there's some things brewing in underneath on the current of your lives and you're not sure where it is. So sometimes you would say some things and you'll be like, wait, where did that come from? That could have come from an unconscious place. Examine it. So as we go through life and we go to school, you get married, you get a job, you do all of the things, either you married or you don't, whatever, life happens and we stay in this 5% forever, just 5%. What I want you to do is when you decide to say to yourself, I want to be enlightened, I want light, it is the best affirmation, one of the best affirmations you can or declarations, affirmations that you can make. I am enlightened. I want light. Let there be light. I want light. What begins to happen then is because you're giving permission to what's inside to begin to come out. What's underneath this in the subconscious will start rising to the top. One of the things I tell my clients is when you are ready, some of them have repressed memories and things of traumas from the past. When you are ready, it will appear. It would rise to the top. Do you understand? So you are ready for light in 2022. Do not be scared of what's there. When you're ready, some things will begin to rise to the top. You're going to say something that will scare yourself. Be like, where did that come from? You're going to just all of a sudden remember something. You'll begin to acknowledge some things in your own life. Self-awareness is about light. It's about stop walking in darkness. Why do I have this behavior? How did I get here? You know, these things, why am I always so angry? Why am I always yelling? Why am I conflict averse? You know, a lot of these things, when you're ready, the answers are there. Your body, your soul, your spirit, it has all the answers. So it is just, sorry, excuse me. So it is acknowledging that you want to be enlightened. So how many people want to be enlightened in 2022? You want to know what's in the 90%. You're tired of just existing on the 5-10% of your brain, of your mind, and you want to go into the unconscious and the subconscious places. If that's you, say, I want light, I want to be enlightened, I am living in enlightenment in 2022. Any one of those phrases, say it to yourself, put it on the chat box, and let us do this together. Does that make sense? Light, who is saying yes to light? Enlightenment in 2022. You're not afraid of what's going to come up. You're not afraid. We're not afraid. We're courageous. We're courageous people here. We are well, and we are moving forth in light. Enough of the darkness. Enough of the darkness. I want to know. I want to know what's been driving my life for all these years that I didn't even know. I want to know the things I don't have access to. So let there be light. Let my eyes be flooded with light. I want to see more than I've ever seen in my life. So let there be light. Let there be light. You know, there are people on your path. There are things, there are resources in your life. There are relationships that you haven't even been able to access because you don't see them. You don't see them. And the reason you don't see them is because the unconscious mind is blocking you from seeing them. So whatever needs to come up for your good in this year, let there be light. You are going to have light. And so number 5, it says, self-awareness can open your mind to new perspective. You know, it can open your mind to new perspective. We each tend to have different perspectives on a variety of topics. Now, listen to me. All of you, some of you are so rigid. Some people are so rigid in their thoughts. When you're so rigid in your thought, it keeps you from being self-aware. It keeps you from receiving new perspective into your life. You know, not all just because you have one particular way of doing things doesn't mean that's the only way to do things, you know. But as you begin to listen to different perspectives on varieties of topics, you begin to develop what we call self-concept. You begin to develop self-concept. You begin to get comfortable with yourself, and you begin to know exactly, you know, what you're going to hold on to, what you're not going to hold on to. It's okay to listen to other people's perspective. Limited perspective leads to limited thinking. Let me say that again. Limited perspective would lead to limited thinking. So when you open yourself up to see what's out there, don't be afraid of knowledge. Knowledge is power. Okay, we know there's some knowledge out there that you might say, oh, I don't want to look. Why are you so afraid? We're not afraid in 2022. Get yourself established and don't be afraid. New ideas are refreshing and stimulating, opening our thinking, you know, in new and possible promising directions, you know, can actually get you to a point where you self-actualize. It is important for you to get to your place that you need to be because you don't have all the answers. This is why we are a community of human beings. This is why we're a community of people. You do not have all the answers. So I love to read and ask and talk to people about their opinions about different things in life. Or like, you know, like for example, a lot of you are Christians, right? So, you know, because you have a thought about a particular chapter or verse, doesn't mean somebody else doesn't have another revelation, another thought about that. So when you open yourself to hearing what is happening in other people's lives, it helps you to become more self-aware. If you've only lived in a pond, if you've only lived in a pond or by a pond, you would think the pond is all there is in the world. If you've only lived by the river, you would think the river is the best body of water that ever exists until you get to the ocean. You see what I'm saying? So yes to light, yes to new perspectives, to be able to just listen to other people, other ways of doing things. Self-awareness is connected to your self-esteem. Self-awareness is connected to your self-esteem. Very often, what happens is we hold ourselves to this, you know, we hold what we hold of ourselves, what we think of ourselves is usually based on what other people have told us about ourselves. What your parents have told you, what your colleagues have told you, what your friend have told you. Usually that's how we think of ourselves. So if you've been criticized as a child, you even though you might not think that of it as criticism, Even though you might not think of it as abuse, you've been criticized as a child, all of that goes in the in your unconscious mind. And somewhere you're thinking you have a low self-esteem and you're sensitive to rejection. You're sensitive to rejection. When you begin to practice self-awareness, you will understand what is going on. You're going to be able to deal with it. Either you talk about it or you get professional help. Like I keep saying, contact us if you need any professional help, we'll help you, right? And so if that is so, but during self-awareness, you know that that's why you're doing what you're doing. That's why you have this behavior. So instead of saying, oh, that's just the way I am, no, self-awareness is development. It's saying I can do better. I can do better. And the more you understand yourself, you understand why this is happening in your life, the more your self-esteem will increase. Wow. And then you're more, you're able to face life. On the other hand, if you were praised as a child, you're a prince, you're a princess, you're beautiful, you can do whatever you want. The sky is your limit. In fact, there is no limit, child. You go for it. Then you're going to develop high self-esteem, because all that also goes into your unconscious mind of who you are. And you will develop a high sense of yourself. A lot of our beliefs, I keep saying, is buried either in my subconscious mind or your unconscious mind. And where they are doing good, or they can do irreparable harm if you don't examine them. So we need to begin to examine them so that we can live the life like we want to live. We owe it to ourselves to become more self-aware of our thoughts, of our beliefs. The subconscious will hold those ideas and beliefs to be true. Okay, that is the reason why I keep going on about this. Look, those things in the subconscious, at least you have access to those. Okay, so let me explain the three parts. So the conscious mind is what you know it's there and you can access it. But that's your conscious mind. Okay, I know that I know how to use a spoon. It's a consciousness. I know how to make a presentation. That's my conscious mind, and I can recall it. Subconscious are the things that I know are there. I know that they're there, okay? But I don't use them all the time. So, but when I need them, I can pull it. That's why people say, you never forget how to ride a bike. It's like you get up because it's in your subconscious. You don't use it every day, but using your subconscious, when you want to pull it out, you can pull it out. That's your subconscious. Your unconscious mind is you don't know what's there at all. All right. The problem is this: when you have beliefs and ideas in that unconscious mind, it holds the things there to be true. And this is the truth. It holds it to be truth. So if you don't examine it, you could just become like, you're just moving around and somebody's driving in different places. Self-awareness is able then to, when you're ready for it, it's able to empower you to move forward through life more, to build agency, to move forward through life, knowing that I know me, I know myself. And you're not just saying that as a confession, you're saying that because you've done the work. You cannot keep saying I know me if you have not done the work. All right. So self-awareness helps us look at things objectively. Okay? You can look at things more objectively. Human beings tend to be very critical. They're critical beings. Either you can self-criticize, you're self-critic. Why haven't you done that? What's wrong with you? Let's, we're laying down those weapons. That we talked about that the other day. No more criticizing yourself. Or hard on others. You're so hard on other people. If you find someone who is so hard on other people, it's somebody who doesn't know self. They're not self-aware. And if you are the one that's always so hard on other people, it's not the other people, it's you. It's you. It points to you. I am the one in the mirror. You know, and sometimes you're hard on yourself and you're hard on other people, beating yourself up, beating other people up. You know, you can, you know, there's so it is just a very harmful situation. But nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. That's self-awareness. Nobody is perfect. We're all in progress. We're all testimonies in the making. We're all living our own lives the way we can. Just because you were able to do something faster doesn't mean the person who is struggling behind you is any less than you. Just because somebody is your janitor, somebody is your house help, somebody is your this, doesn't make them less of a human being. In the sight of the Almighty, we're all equal. But because you don't know who you are, you spill that anger over to other people. So let's learn to cut through the hype of self-hatred and other hatred and become more objective. Objective means sometimes you are even giving them a reason for their behavior. The reason this person is doing this could be because A, B, C, D. This is not a weakness. It is just strength in progress. It just hasn't arrived yet. Are you with me? It just has not arrived yet. So take the time in 2022 to allow others to shine around you. When you begin to shine yourself, it's okay to allow other people to shine. When you know who you are, it's okay to lay down the weapons and say, look at this young lady or young man that is in my house that is helping me, you know, your house help, your driver, or your whoever that's helping me. Instead of shouting and yelling at them, let me see what's going on with me, that I'm so stressed that I don't have enough bandwidth to deal with other people with patience. So once you examine yourself and you realize that, oops, this is where I need to kind of slow it down. I need to keep it simple. I need to, whatever you need to do, you adjust it. Then you begin to see that other person in a different light. What a blessing to have them in your house to help you. What a blessing that you're in their lives. I believe that anyone that comes around you, anyone that comes around me or you, should get a taste of heaven, should get a taste of light. They should not leave you thinking, oh my God, what happened to me today? I came across the worst person in life. No, if people come around you and they're not the better for it, it means that you need to change. When people come around you, they should leave your presence saying something better has happened to me today. I'm a better person for being in their presence. And that only comes when you begin to self-examine and begin to self-actualize in a way that is not critical, but in a way that is kind and a way that is loving. When you are alone with your thoughts, there's no reason to take sides. Let me say that again. When your thoughts begin to come, there's no reason for you to take sides. Don't try to justify your thoughts. Just evaluate. Don't say, well, I act that way because, you know, life has not been good. No, there's no need. Don't do that. Simply be willing to evaluate yourself as objectively as possible. Be sure that you don't gloss over the things that you'd rather not see. You understand? Don't make sure you're as objective as you can. And once the student is ready, the teacher will show up. Once the student is ready, the teacher will show up. I usually, for my master level students who are in the psychology program, I usually have them in their first class. I usually would tell the faculty members or whoever in the faculty, I would say, ask them to write their life philosophy. What is your philosophy of life? What are your core values? What are your core values? Because if you don't know your core values, then you don't have a foundation. So you need to list your core values. What do I believe? You actually need to write it down, because a lot of things we just assume we believe it. What are your core values? And I'm not asking you to be quoting somebody else. No, what do you believe? What do you believe? What are your core values? What are you going to die for? What are you willing to die for? What are you willing to wrap your life around? Those are the things that you need to begin to examine. Yeah. So you are going to do this with compassion. You're going to do this lovingly so that we can all get to where we need to get to. Number 8. So I think somebody needs to mute. I'm hearing some sound, something. So if you're not muted, please mute yourself. And once you're gotten to the point where you're being self-aware, you know your core values, turn those then into affirmations. Turn them into affirmations. Meditate, and then turn them into affirmations. Affirmations without meditation is frustration. That is why you've been affirming and confessing some things for years and nothing has happened, because your brain has not integrated it. All right. So okay, so let's move on. Journaling is a good way to become self-aware. We talked about this before too. If you haven't started journaling, please do. Journaling is a way to get to become self-aware. Writing your thoughts or your stream of consciousness. Jars, please look for someone who is not muted and mute them, please.
I'm trying to do so. The person keeps on muting.
All right, send a private chat. All right. So by writing, you know, by when you write, I used to lead a program called ABET here in the United States. It's advancement via individual determination. When it first came out in the 80s, and one of the philosophy of this program is, I hope it still is, but in those days it was how do I know what I think if I don't write it down? And we changed those students' lives by making them take notes. They would write down things, they would write their thoughts down, and people were changing from, you know, like being C's and D students, and they were moving up to be A's and B's students just by writing things down. Writing things down, by writing your thoughts or your stream of consciousness, just ideas, just writing them down, you begin to open up to more vulnerable parts of your places within you. It is here that, you know, the engine of self-awareness dwells. Journaling isn't everyone's, you know, thing. You know, not everybody likes to journal, but if you like to, if you want to pick up a habit in 2022, I encourage you to do that. Now you can actually speak your journaling, and it would just and it would write it out for you. So there's so many ways. Writing sometimes reveal what your dissonance is. You know, the dissonance is you're holding two thoughts that are contradictory. You know, you're holding two thoughts. So that way, sometimes you're behaving a certain way, and you're thinking, why am I behaving this way? That's not what I want to do. That's a dissonance. All right. And so during writing, you are able to release those things on paper or on a smartphone or wherever you're doing it, and you're able to free your mind and examine it. You know, see what comes up in your mind. Sometimes just see how the ideas and innovation begins to come out. They're just going to be, you're going to become more and more creative. You're going to have all these ideas because now you've said yes to light. You said yes to light, and a lot more ideas are going to come up. We've talked about where is it? Where am I? Hold on. Let me move this out the way so I can see. All right. We're on number 9. And I think I've talked a little bit about this. Feedback from other people can help you become self-aware. Constructive criticism. Have a mentor. Have a mentor. I tell my students all the time, get an instructor, tell them I'm going to take you to lunch, I'm going to buy you coffee. You pay for it. Tell them and spend an hour with them and get some things. Ask them about their lives. Ask them about how they did this. We tell employees all the time, if you have a manager, a supervisor you want to learn from, you say, hey, please, I just need 15 minutes of your time. You know, buy lunch, whatever it is, and I just want to talk about X, Y, and Z. You tell them what it is. Most people will be so, you know, most people will be like, oh, well, yeah, because they'll be surprised that you took that initiative. And so find somebody in your life that you can also accept constructive criticism from. Somebody can will tell you the truth, not somebody that is constantly telling you, trying to, you know, what was it, butter you up. You know, no, find somebody who would actually tell you, look, that lipstick you're wearing, girl, you might need to change it a little bit because, you know, it's clashing. You know, those things, I'm just, you know, that's trivial. But yeah, somebody that would tell you that. It's constructive criticism, and be willing to take it. And be willing to take it because it's coming from a place of love. So I'm not going to spend too long on that because I'm looking at my watch. Self-awareness can help you know your strengths and weaknesses. Yes. Now, so let's go to the next screen. Okay. Where am I? I don't know what I just did. What did I just do? Oh, strengths and weakness. We're number 10. Self-awareness can help you know your strengths and weaknesses. You know, maybe you always start things. Maybe you always start things, but you never finish. Maybe you do a lot of things, but nothing is really done well. Only you can tell you what you need to do in 2022. If you're the kind of person that your life is filled with incompletes. You started this, you started this, you started that, you started that, you started that, but you never finish anything. It is a sign that there's stuff driving you in your unconscious that's not allowing you to finish. It's not about binding the devil. It's about you taking responsibility and saying, let there be light. Why am I not able to finish things? Then you go back and you examine that. When did I make a commitment that I was not enough, that I was not sufficient? Because if I finish it, I would actually succeed. Somewhere in my past, I made a commitment to not do that. Okay, 2022 is a time to change. You set that in motion. Does that make sense? The other thing is, I just want to drop this here under intentions. Let me just drop this down here. You are only responsible for yourself. Once your children are over the age of 18, you have done what you can do. All right? You can't change them anymore. There's a window where you can modify their lives. You can't change your spouse. You can't change your friends. You can't change anyone. The only person you are responsible for is yourself. And if you have little children, then you are responsible for those too. So that means that you should not spend your energy trying to make somebody else better. That is not in your purview unless they're children. Do you understand? And even if they're children, and let me just take off this PowerPoint so I can just talk and then we'll end. Even if they're children, there are ways to actually even do that, right? So if I stop wasting all of my energy on trying to change somebody, and women do this a lot more than men. You marry that person, you're thinking, you know what, they're going to change. You're partnering with somebody, you're thinking, I can change them. No, you cannot. The only person you have control over is you. You're not God. So take some of your powers back, the power that you're using to put off so many fires. A lot of people have become firefighters. Stop putting out so many fires. Take care of you. Are you with me? Take care of yourself. Put out the fires in your life so that the other person can live their life. And then you have a decision to make. Am I going to stay broken or am I going to stay healed? Once you make that decision for 2020, you then have won the fight for self-awareness. Second thing I want to say before I leave is this, that do not stay in the line of fire for anybody. Do not stay in the line of fire. You are just as precious in the sight of God and as anybody else. So don't stop taking somebody else's fire. If they're emotionally abusive, if they're physically abusive, if they're anywhere abusive, don't stay in the line of fire. Remove yourself from the line of fire. You know, you're driving and you hit a pothole. You hit a pothole. What do you do when you hit a pothole? You can't, a big pothole. You can't keep driving. You can't keep driving that car. You got to get out that car, see what the damage is, find people to help you get the car out of the pothole so you can keep driving, right? That's what you would do. So how come you hit potholes in 2020 or 2021? You've hit potholes in life, but you keep trying to drive the car. No. That's why you need to get out, take care of yourself, take care of the car. You take care of you in 2022 so that you can have a better journey. So end with this, I'm taking better care of myself in 2020, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for sharing life with me today. But like I told you, I have a class at the top of the hour, so I can't stay longer than now. See you tomorrow. Don't miss it. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Bye. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Bye.
See you
Bye.
tomorrow, everyone. Bye.